Everybody's made mistakes about people that they brought into either their work or their home.
It's just a matter of time. It's not if, it's when.
Wouldn't you want to know what their interests are?
I feel like that's like a huge thing companies do nowadays.
You can't just compartmentalize your personal and your professional lives. And so it's going to be reflected in their behaviors.
Yeah, I would definitely look them up on social media for a little bit. Yeah, I want to know what they're doing.
Yeah.
You have any last words before I kill you?
Yeah.
You know what you say? Home.
No. yeah.
Welcome to Ask Social Profiler. I'm Dave. This is Tony. Tony, what are we going to talk about today?
Hey Dave, today we're going to talk about mistakes we make while hiring.
Everybody's made mistakes about people that they brought into either their work or their home. And you know what? It can have devastating consequences. We know that everyone's not the same. You know, whether you're Republican, Democrat, whether you have different religious values. The most important thing is if you're establishing a relationship with other people, that you have some level of compatibility, or at least understand if your beliefs, your interests, or your values are aligned. Tony, can you tell us a little bit about any mistakes that you've made?
Oh, I made a few. It comes down to several cases. A, not knowing enough about a person. You know, whenever the honeymoon period ends and you get to know a person better, it's a little bit too late already. B, it's considering the growth rate of the company itself and the growth of a person. For instance, if a person overgrows the company, it's not a great place to be. As well as, you know, if person does not grow with a company. Those things sometimes I did not consider well enough and I paid for.
I agree. You know, you mentioned the honeymoon period. A similar situation earlier in my career where I started a new company and I started it with another individual that I didn't previously know. And he had a lot of energy. He was very smart. But after you said the honeymoon period, after the first 3 to 9 months of working together, it became quite obvious that we were just too different to maintain the relationship. And as a result, over a year of work that both he and I put into to try and establish a business ultimately failed. And that was true for him as well. He was just different. And we ultimately had different interests, which led to different beliefs and values. And you know, that's really where this takes you is, when you're establishing a relationship with somebody, how do you avoid those mistakes? One way to do that is to understand what their interests are. Do social media research and find their activities, who they like, what they follow, because that's a good indication of who that person's going to be personally and professionally moving forward. What are your thoughts, Tony?
I agree. I also think that fundamental values matter. I mean, there is nothing wrong about having different opinions. There is a dramatic value in having different opinions because people can contribute, bring different things on the table. But at the same time, if you disagree fundamentally on something, say in political spectrum, in personal beliefs, in you name it, that is a problem which gonna happen. It's gonna surface anyways, regardless of how long you're trying to avoid it. If you like fundamentally disagree on some stuff, that might not work out. And it will not, actually. It's just a matter of time. It's not if, it's when.
Would you be okay if your employer checked your social media before hiring you?
I think it's a slippery slope, and I think that some things are okay, but if you're going back and looking at what someone posted when they were 15, 16 years old, you know, people evolve over time, they change. So yeah, I think it can be, depending on what you're looking for, and there is a reasonable use of that, I think.
My company puts it out there that you can be fired for what you put out there if it's offensive in some way that violates our company policies. So to the degree that it violates policies, I'm subject to that right now.
Yeah. On my social media, I feel like that's something that I've always thought about, like not being watched, but kind of, because that's how everybody can see you and they view you. So,
Right.
and I feel like that's like a huge thing companies do nowadays anyways.
that's not only true in your professional relationships, it's also true in your personal ones as well. You know, if you're considering dating somebody on an online service, wouldn't you want to know what their interests are before you started dating them to be sure that you would have compatibility? Absolutely. And that's the key, is regardless of the type of relationship, whether it's a social relationship with or an association.
Especially in romantic relationships, like I think everybody had that kind of situation when you still believe from the bottom of your heart that things gonna change, but they never do, right? And ultimately it falls apart.
Right.
Yeah, and I think it's also true for like any sort of business environment. People do change and it's great, but they don't change, that rapidly.
You know, people can change their outward behavior, but it's not necessarily reflective of their interests and their values and their beliefs.
Would you look up a new friend or partner on social media before getting close to them?
Yeah. So 100%. I feel like that's how you initially know somebody. That's how they present themselves to the world. So I feel like you don't want a certain persona about the people you're with, which is, I don't know, pretty important, especially for business. And yeah, I'd check it out.
Just perhaps to see if they have any extreme ideologies, or if they post things that's clearly racist or something like that.
I think it's a given. That's what you have to do, right? You meet a girl that you like, and you guys link up, you read your socials, and you have to just see what's up, right? See what their vibe is. I realize that's how you get to know someone too.
Yeah, I would definitely look them up on social media for a little bit. Yeah. Yeah, I want to know what they're doing.
Yeah.
We trend to believe in things we want to believe in without proper vetting or verification of certain skills. Normally skills come along with some interest in particular topic. Rarely happen that somebody had zero interest in, say, aerospace engineering while being a great aerospace engineer. There is personal life and there is professional life, but it's hard to imagine that somebody has them so separated that you never follow anything on your professional topics.
You can't just compartmentalize your personal and your professional lives. This is not severance. This is real life. And the fact is, people's interests tend to overlap between personal and professional and romantic. And that's just the way people are built. And so it's going to be reflected in their behaviors. And from all of us at Social Profiler, thank you for your time. Thank you for joining us today. And remember, it's better to know a person's interests before they've ever said a word.